spend that usefully and actually bring something out to the world, something that will benefit the people, inshallah ta'ala. Now, today we're actually going to be taking our first steps. So when you have a wow idea, or you have an idea you believe is wow, and you want to get it out to the world, what is step number one? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. What is step number one? What do? You have an idea. What do you do? What do you do? Tell me in the comments what you got. Zachar says, I'll write it down. Farhan says, I will jump. Mariam says, istikhara. Abdul Basit says, validate your idea. Amna says, make a plan. Nadia says, share it. Evaluate. Brainstorm ideas. Also think about other people, friends that you may have had when they had an idea. What do they do after they get their idea? Things that comes to my mind is they probably talk about it a lot. They don't necessarily do anything, but they talk about it. Nobody said, make a logo or choose a name for the idea or start an Instagram account. Did anybody say start an Instagram account? Because that's a big one that a lot of people do. I have an idea. Let me start an Instagram account. And okay. So let me share with you guys a story first. I have multiple stories in this regard, but here's a story. I think I was traveling in Australia. Any Australians here? And when I was traveling in Australia, somebody said a friend of a cousin wants to speak to me. So this person said, I'm like, okay, let's talk. And we're driving in the car on speakerphone, and this brother started presenting an idea to me that he felt was wow. I think it was a radio station. Again, this was many years ago, radio station, not like podcast, but radio station, and he wanted me to team up with him. Okay, so I'm basically in a car ride on the other side of the world, somebody's cousin's friend who I'm speaking to the first time, and they're saying, let's get married. I want to team up with you. And I can't imagine that my response to that would have been like, wow, I'm so excited. You're doing a radio. Be my partner. I want to do that. So that wasn't going to be my response. So this is what I said. I said, on a scale, you have 10 paces. You have let's say from 0 to 10, and 10 is like you've completely finished this project, and 0 is like you haven't started. What number are you on? And I would assume this person is on, from 0 to 10, they're on step number 1. Basically, they had the idea, woke up, and now they're discussing it with, discussing with me and others. So that's what I said to him. And then I said, you know what, when you get to about stage 4 or stage 5, then let's talk. So this is what the brother responded to me. He said, I knew you wouldn't help me. Okay, hold on a second here. He put me down and he said, I knew you wouldn't help me. Okay, what do you guys think about that? I'm interested. What do you guys think about that comment? From things that we've learned here or from your own experience, he said, I knew you, Muhammad Ashraf, wouldn't be of help. What do you guys got? I'm interested. What do you think? Adija says he's blaming me. Okay. It's cringe. He sounds defeated already. Negative thoughts. Laurel says he's projecting. It's an excuse. He's making excuses. That's his story. It's sad. He was putting his insecurities on me. Okay, so here's what I tell people, that if you want to take note of this, all-star team members, A players that you want on your team will never volunteer to be on your team from the get-go. They will never volunteer. I take that as like a golden rule. If you ever have somebody come up to you and say, I'd like to work with you when you're just starting off, they are not an A player, because that's not how A players act. A players must be recruited. A players must be scouted and recruited. They never show up at your door. Okay. So take note of that. That's a big one. So what would have been better for this brother is before seeking to team up with all-stars, he should have began the journey himself and become an all-star himself. That's really what I wanted to tell him. Don't be a nobody. Don't be like blaming people. Become an all-star yourself, because it is in your hands. I'm saying that to all of you guys. It's in your hands to become an all-star in your niche, in your field. And that was, again, that's like 20 years ago, you could have done it. Nowadays, you can do it from your hand on the toilet. You can become an all-star. Just go in the bathroom and spend like, you're already, scrolling through whatever, you're part of somebody else's plan. You can become an all-star and you can build yourself up and then team up with other people. All right. So here's step number one. Here's the first thing you should do is make a list of everything that you need to do to get your business started. I would encourage you to make a list of 20 things. What are 20 things that you need to do to launch this business? Let's make it really simple. What are 20 things that you need to do to launch this business? And how about right now, let's write it down. You can type it in the notes or you can type it in your own, on your own. What are 10 things that you need to do or should do to launch your business? Let's start writing it in the comments. What are 10 things for you? What do you think you should do to launch your business, to launch your idea? Make a list of 10. So what's a list? Let's make the list right now, my friends. What is on the list? Tell me what would be on the website. Abdul Basit says, set up a website. Okay, write it down. Faiza, legal research. One thing that I like to do is choose a name for my business. Second thing might be, I'd like to, if I've chosen the name, I'd like to secure the social media accounts of that name. List the products that you want to sell. Somebody said, Naz said that. Amira says, categorize my target market. Good for you, Amira. Categorize meaning like make a snapshot of your target audience. Brand name break. Okay, come on, give me some more, folks. I said 20 steps. So far, we got like about 5 or 6. What else would you do? Farhan, exit plan. Okay, let's start first before the exit, but I know what you mean. Like, how will I sell this? Set up a Zoom account, maybe be specific. How about, I like that, Sarah. How about setting up an email autoresponder service? How about setting up a PayPal account where people can pay you? How about creating something for free that you can give in exchange for people's content, or sorry, in exchange for people's contact information? I like it. Survey target audience. Shamila says that. So surveying meaning grab maybe even a focus group. Grab your target audience, a couple of them, maybe about like 8 to 10 of them, and have a conversation. Sit them down on a Zoom call, start asking them all these questions. Abdul Basit, creating a lead magnet. Okay. So you guys see that if you made a list of 10 steps, do you see how concrete this has now become for you? And even as it becomes concrete, my question for you is, who is starting to get nervous now that you see that it's concrete? Who is actually really ask yourself, are you actively seeking an excuse as to why you can't do this? Is your mind right now trying to find a way out? I'm just curious about that. Is your mind excited, or is your mind trying to find a way out? Your mind is trying to, it's like your mind doesn't even know what the way out is and how to stop doing this, but it's searching. It's like, how can I desist? How can I pull away from this? That's the story that you have. That was day number 2. The story, the old story. And now that you're moving forward, that other part of your brain is like telling you, we must to find an excuse. There's no good excuse right now, but we will find it and we will present it to everybody so that we will let ourselves off the hook, basically. Okay. So moving along, as you now enter and you start taking action on here, day number 3, you're kicking off, you want to understand your audience. You want to understand your audience. So one of the courses that we do is, one of the courses at Discover You that we do is called Like a Garment by Sheikh Yasser Qadhi. And I'll tell you guys a little background story. Like a Garment is basically like, it's like a course on sexuality. It's like husband and wife, that kind of thing. And so the language can be pretty intense. So this is what I did. I tried to picture a target audience of one person. I tried to imagine one person, and the initial name that we had or that was presented was like, I think it was like Muslim sexuality, something like that, like something kind of like cringy. Yeah. And then I tried to picture, like, so imagine this is not the target person, but let's suppose the target person is a woman named, I'm trying to think, a name named Deborah, okay? A sister named Deborah. I'm trying to think a random name. And I tried to imagine Deborah is sitting at her computer. She receives an email from, I don't know, Muhammad al-Sharif that says sexuality. I'm like, okay. And then immediately I'm like, there is no way. Now she might open it. She might open it, but there is no way she's going to share it with anybody. She's not going to share with friends like, hey, friends, check this out, sexuality. Like, it's not going to work. And so I went back to the team and then I said that, look, we cannot have a name like that. In our Muslim community, we understand our audience. They're not going to appreciate that kind of language. Maybe they will like the course, but they're not going to share it. We need a better name for that goes according to our audience. And so came the name Like a Garment. And I think everybody appreciates that Like a Garment is such a, like, it's the language that the Quran used for this topic. And it's such a beautiful name. And, you know, over the years, I think we've done this course for at least like 12 years. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And that comes from understanding your audience and understanding where they would, what they would appreciate. You know, I want to share with you guys something that happened to me at Masjid Nabawi. Do any of you like to people watch? People watch, meaning like sitting in a train station and looking at people and try to understand things about them. Where are they from? You know, stuff like that. People watching. Sada. I think a lot of us like to people watch. So Medina is like perfect for people watching because whole world is there and stuff like that. So it was after Salah one time, after Isha, and people were coming out of Masjid Nabawi. We're coming out of Masjid Nabawi like it was like a river, like this flowing river of people coming out of Masjid Nabawi. And I'm like in the middle of the river. I'm standing near a garbage bin. And all of a sudden somebody comes out from Masjid Nabawi, touches one side of his nose, and then blows out all the snot and nastiness from the other side of his nose into the garbage bin. Okay. And I was like, and I was like, oh, that is so disgusting. Okay. And then like 1 minute later, then somebody else comes out of the crowd and goes up to the garbage bin and grabs his nose and blows out his nose into the garbage bin. And then later, a third person does it. A fourth person does it. Like they kept doing it. But I noticed something here. I noticed that everybody who was doing this was wearing the same kufi and had the same clothing. meaning that they were all from the same country. And they were all like, I would assume in their country, this is how, this is normal behavior, that when you see a garbage bin, you blow your nose out in the garbage bin or something like that. So understanding your audience. So even in a crowd, there's going to be things that run through your audience, even in the big crowd, that you understand, your audience understands, and boom, 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 you can get a message across through the noise if you understand your audience correctly. So you don't want to segment your audience. Like, who are you going to be selling your idea to? Don't segment them according to like male, female, this age, 35 years old, who live here and stuff like that. Segment people according to what they value. Okay, so that's a big one. Segment them according to what they value. So if you guys said, for example, let's say here's a Muslim coach, and here's a mom that doesn't want people to tell her to get married, doesn't want people to tell her to have children. She values like, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to get married. And then you're a coach that speaks directly to that type of person. That's the person coming out of the crowd and blowing their nose in the garbage bin. You're like, yes, I understand what you're saying. And you start talking to that person. The people who are not like that will move away from you. And the people who are like that are going to find a hero in what you're saying. And they're going to connect to you based on what they value, I would even say, there was a few years ago, let me not talk too much about it, but I saw a lot of Muslim like entrepreneurs going online and showing off money. Showing off money, meaning like, hey, this person's giving a reminder, and they got a table next to them with like a stack of like money next to them, or taking pictures with like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff like that. And they might be speaking to somebody who values that, but from what I understand in the Muslim community, that maybe Muslims might secretly want to do that, but you don't show those kind of things off. You don't show it off. That's not how our community understands things. And you'll see that those kind of entrepreneurs, Muslims who did stuff like that, like things collapse. It just doesn't come from our audience. That's not our community. That's not how we speak in our communities. They took that from a non-Muslim context, tried to apply it to a Muslim context, and it failed because that's not how we talk. So understanding your audience and what they value. All right, the next thing that you want to do is you want to look at your customers. Secondly, is what are they trying to escape from? What are they trying to escape from, and what are they trying to arrive at? What are they trying to escape from, and what are they trying to arrive at? So what I mean by that is, let's look at the get married scene. And there's a lot of like, there might be matrimonial websites for that. There are people doing courses for that. There's like, if a woman's divorced versus like can't find a husband or whatever, right? There's a lot of Muslim businesses surrounding the matrimonial. But let's look at the journey of a woman who wants to get married or a brother that wants to get married. What are they trying to escape from? What they're trying to escape from, you can tell me in the comments too, share with me and learn kind of like, if this is your customer, what are they trying to escape from? They're trying to escape from, I don't know, loneliness. They're trying to escape from being singled out as not having a spouse, or like, oh, you're not married yet. They're trying to escape from, maybe their younger years, their 20s, and still not being married. That's what they're trying to escape from. So right from the get-go, you can understand that if you were to sell them a product that didn't address what they're trying to escape from, your product's going to fail. Your idea is going to fail. So it's just getting hot here. Let me, I just need to turn the AC on a little bit stronger. One moment, please. Okay. What are they trying to escape from? Yeah, so the solitude, the loneliness, and what have you. And what are they trying to arrive at? They're trying to arrive at, happy marriage, get married in their younger age and so on. So you want to look at their journey. If you were to make, just like I say, hey, there's these 5 steps to launching your product. So for your wow idea, the 5 steps for me are, come up with a wow idea, be a one-man show, do it yourself, be a one-man show, become an all-star. Number 3 is attract all-stars after you yourself are an all-star. Number 4 is manage those all-stars and build kind of like a replicatable system. And number 5 is now distribute that system around the world. So if you come to me and you say, hey, I want to escape from not having an idea or anything like that, and I want to build a business like Discover You, like Al Maghrib Institute, and I want it to go around the world, these are my 5 steps. What is your 5 or 6 step formula that will lead a person to escape from something and arrive at something else? When you understand the journey, you'll stop thinking about yourself as like, hey, I think you need an ebook. I think you need an ebook. No, they don't need an ebook. They need to not feel lonely. So so tell me this, you guys, if our audience was single brothers and sisters, and step number 1 is they don't want to feel lonely anymore, what would you do on step 1? What would you do for them? Shamila says companionship. No, specifically, what would you do? How are you going to deal with the companionship? I have an idea, but I'd like to hear from you guys. What would you do? If their step number 1 is you want to immediately satisfy their loneliness, what would you do? Okay, Amira, create events. Okay, let's get specific, people. We're talking about like up in the clouds, get very specific. If you say make an event, what is the event? If you guys tell me things like self-love, validate them, blah, 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 that's still wishy-washy stuff. We're talking about products and services here, not adjectives. Okay, Khadra says create a group chat for them. What's step number 1? Maybe later down, you're talking about a matrimonial service, but what's step number 1? So escape to arrival, there's multiple steps. What's the first thing that you would do? How do you connect them? How do you capture this person so they want more? You know what comes to mind? I'm thinking about these, there's like these bars or nightclubs or whatever, or beach party places. They say something like, girls are free until midnight, or girls get, such and such. They're trying to, so they're actually advertising to the men. They're advertising to the men. They're telling the men that there will be girls there because they're going to get free entry, and they're going to get like free drinks, something like that. So what the offer is free drinks for, sorry for starting with that kind of an example, but you'll see it all around you. So that the guys can come, correct. Introduce them to other single people. Okay, so what I hear from what I see in the comments, a lot of what you guys said is very abstract. Like I said, it's adjectives, self-love, companionship, stuff like that. That's not an idea. That's an adjective. How are you going to deliver that? How are you going to, step number 1, help this person with loneliness? Maybe your wow idea is everybody who signs up, you personally call them and welcome them. Maybe, like, let's say here in the Facebook group, I did a live even before we started, and I encouraged you guys to press like and comment on each other's videos. So that might be like a step number, that literally is a step number 1 for me, to create an atmosphere or to facilitate an atmosphere where you feel welcomed from the very beginning. Okay, so you have to get specific on these ideas. And then you take them to a step 2, to a step 3, to step 4, step 5, until they've arrived at their destination. If you take people along that path, and it really works, and it really arrives for them at what they're seeking, guaranteed you can charge people along that path. It'll be fun. It'll be beneficial. They're going to benefit from it. They're going to get married. You're going to solve the problem. They're going to arrive at the destination. And you, my friend, will be their hero. They're like, Alhamdulillah, you came along. They will not be shy to pay you. They would rather pay you more. Is there anything more that they can buy from you? Do you have any upgrades? They're going to arrive at the destination. They're going to ask you, hey, can I get an affiliate link because I want to tell all my friends about your services? This was so great. And that's the power of this escape to arrival. The reason that so many people just flop when they go out there is that they just don't have a system that will lead someone to a destination. They'll just be like, well, I'm a coach for divorcees. Okay, so what? Like, I have a system, but you have to sign up with me or something like that. No, take them along this path. Take them along this journey from step 1 to step 2. Even actually, if you see in Discover You, a lot of our programs are like, it's a continuation of a journey. If you take Visionaire, and Visionaire leads to, hey, taking action, and taking at Dreamwalker, and Dreamwalker leads to like, hey, is one of your dream jobs related to business? Hey, here comes, Soup's challenge. They keep moving along in a journey because we look at our audience and we try to understand, what do you need next? What do you need next? What do you need next? And that's why it's like, oh man, I don't even want to listen to Muhammad Ashraf because I know I'm going to need what he's talking about next. And that's because I'm not doing this out of like random thoughts. We're actually trying to listen to the audience and see what's needed next. Yasmin says, I noticed that. Well, now, Yasmin, you can do it too. I wanted to tell you guys about, if you've ever seen like YouTube ads, and YouTube ads were, they're kind of like, do you need more money? They start off, they only have 5 seconds to capture your attention. And then they'll say that people start with like, do you ever wonder why, they start with a problem. And for me, I'm like, I know there's a problem out there or whatever, money or whatever they're talking about, or weight loss or whatever it is. I don't really care about somebody describing the problem to me. I would rather like people present solutions. I already know what the problem is and the issue, but I would like to listen to solutions, somebody to take me on this journey, a step number 1. So I'll give you an example. There's one ad on Instagram where it's kind of like a yoga instructor, and he's talking about hip flexibility. And his advertisement, and I actually like to watch his advertisements, is because in his advertisement, he's not saying, hey, do you have problems with your hips? Oh, who cares? Just skip garbage like that. This guy, in his like 15-second video, he shares with you a stretch that you can do for your hip so that it can be like mobile and flexible. And I'm like, wow. And then you could like literally, like, you're sitting there with your phone, and then here I'm doing the stretch right now. I'm like, oh yeah, that feels good. Feels good. And then you'll watch more because you're providing value to people. And then they want to continue the journey with you. Okay, tell me more. I got this stretch. What other stretches can you do for me? Hey, can you help me with my shoulder? Can you help me with my lower back? And so on, right? So that's the conversation that you have, not just talking about problems and is there a problem? No. The next thing is that iPhones have proven to us, like how much time, I don't know, I think Android has it too, which is how much time are you spending on your phone every day? Started calculating it out. And I did like a Qalbi video, you might see it. It's like about distraction. And I spent on Eid day, I spent 11 hours on my phone. 11 hours. I'm like, it was crazy. And now I average like 8 hours a day on my phone. And I don't like that. I don't like that. screen time. And I was actually at a barber shop just like last week. And at the barber shop, it's like the only place where I don't play with my phone at a barber shop, because you're getting a haircut, you fall asleep instead. And as I look around, everybody waiting for their haircuts, all these guys and stuff like that, like there is nobody not looking at their phone. There's nobody. Every single person has got a phone and they're attached to it and their mind is there. Back in the day, I did this khutbah about the third parent, about television. And I was talking about like, oh, our kids are spending like 8 hours a day watching television. And I was like, this is bad. This is bad. They shouldn't be spending so much time. And I realized I became that. Like I'm the one now spending 8 hours a day. Maybe the phone is a little bit better in that you can choose what you're watching. You're not just sucked into the television set. But at the same time, I would say a good 90% of what you're spending time on, you don't need to be spending time on it. It is sucking you in with their algorithms, and algorithms are a wow idea, by the way. TikTok kind of a la TikTok. But if you're spending that much time, what I really like about it is that it is proving to you that you do have time. It is basically punching your excuses in the face and telling you before you say, hey, I need to spend time with the kids, or I'm not going to have time, or you're already spending 8 hours a day. You're already spending that time. But instead of spending the time just being a consumer of other people, why don't you be the producer? Why don't you be the content creator? Why don't you be the one who's like intelligent? And believe me, then the time you spend will be exciting and you'll be helping people and it'll get addictive in a different